Good evening. I am Gamage, past president of IESL and retired from the irrigation department and presently working as adjudicator as well as arbitrator. So now for the B paper lecture series, I think ethics already covered by engineer Russell De Silva, former executive secretary of the IESL, and all the details were given in that lecture. But in fact, in addition to that, IESL entrusted me to discuss about the ethical conduct of engineering professionals. So, with my experience and some knowledge gained during the presidency of the IESL and working in the industry, what I gathered from the discussing and working with the engineers, I want to share some ethical conduct for engineers and professionals. So, mainly, first of all, I would like to discuss about the engineering profession. Engineering conduct has a direct and vital impact on the quality of life for all people. As engineers, we know very well that fact. General public therefore expect all the members of the profession to exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity. That is actually according to the general public as publications. It was lacking in the Sri Lanka these days, but engineers also partly blaming. Therefore, general public they always expect all members of the profession to exhibit the highest standard of honesty and integrity. Accordingly, the service provided by the engineers require honesty, dependability, impartiality, fairness, and equity. Equity means samanalisi. They must be dedicated to the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare in all professional acts. They must be dedicated to the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare in all professional acts. So that means that professional engineers has great responsibility. I think you may keep in your mind these factors because it may be helpful you to answer the B. They must be performed under standard of professionals, which is the most important. A professional behavior that require adherence to the highest principle of ethical conduct. Therefore, all the engineers in the field must have performed under the standards of the professional behavior. So we are already professional behavior standards are discussed by Engineer Russell and the required adherence. So we have to adhere to that standard to the highest principle of the ethical conduct. All professional engineers, while in discharge of their professional duties, shall follow IESL Code of Ethics. That's why IESL Code of Ethics was introduced to the cooperated engineers as well as the associate members and senior members also. A part of that engineering council, part of that the IESL Engineering Council of Sri Lanka recently established about 2-3 years back also declared 6 important ethical clauses almost similar to the IESL Code of Ethics. Actually, as a professional engineers, we have to follow the IESL Code of Ethics as well as since we are the members of the Engineering Council of Sri Lanka, we have to follow the Code of Ethics introduced by the Engineering Council of Sri Lanka. So what is the professional ethics? So normally this is always asking for the B paper as well as those who are as a practicing engineer in the field, we must keep in our mind for practice, what is the professional ethics? Professional ethics are principles that govern the behavior of a person or group in a business environment. Actually, all the professions are have the business environment. Even the engineering, even the back management, and lawyers and the business environment. Like values, professional ethics provide rules on how a person should act toward the other people and institutions in such an environment. So under such environment, the rules are providing the guidelines how you should work in the professional with the professional ethics for the to serve the your, give your service to the nations or society. Professional ethics encompass the personal and corporate standards of behavior expected by the professionals such as engineers, doctors, lawyers, etc. So all the professionals, even the accountant service, vet surgeons, and like that, all the people having the all the professionals and members of the professional institutions. Therefore, they all this what you call professional ethics always give us how you should work and corporate standards behavior expected by the professionals. So engineers, doctors and lawyers, it is common. When the when the when you discuss about lawyers, it is really very strictly following the lawyers. So the professional ethics are that's what the most important. Actually, your performance will be validated as well as appreciated by the general public if you act in the professional manner following the IESL Professional Ethics Code of Ethics. So, engineer ethics, ethical violations, senior engineers and junior engineers. Yes, I want to share some thoughts about with you. Yeah. So, there are a lot of categories. Engineer ethics are common for senior engineers and junior engineers or training engineers. So, now a professional engineer should have balanced knowledge on both technical matters and engineering ethics. So you have to balance knowledge with the technical matters and as well as the knowledge of ethics. Technical matters and engineering ethics. So should be balanced. Engineers who work neglecting the ethics create additional problems to society. So if you are working neglecting the engineering ethics of the engineering, then it will create the additional problems to society. I think I don't want to elaborate because mainly because of the for a what you call the irrigation sector with my example experience the irrigation sector. If you are neglecting your ethics, you are working issuing water and water management as your own way, then if the farmers are not familiar with that and if they are not give the awareness about the your the what you call water management and water aspect, water issues and other things, then it will be a problem to the society. So in the irrigation sector, that actually I always they are managing the water with the participatory approach, with the consent of the farmers, explaining to the farmers, and then they, with their consent, we are implementing our water management programs. So then it is ethical manner. So then no creating the problem because both parties, general public as a professional engineers, we are all in the one way. So very easily we can work. There are a lot of examples of engineering works related to tragedies happen as a result of the neglecting engineering ethics by engineers in their decision making process. So actually in the decision making process, actually we have to we should not neglect the engineering ethics. It is most important. So I think now during our service in the department, the Kantale Dam disaster, right? It is actually a very good example for the ethical ethics. So in which case that it is a Kantele dam, it is actually leaked from the sluice, right? So it is a old sluice renovated by the British as well as later, but it was a old sluice. Not so at that time when the water supply and drainage board want the water get from the Kantale, so our director at that time he was insisting not to put the intake in close to the what to call the Kantale source. He given somewhere else because mainly he know ethically if you are going to construct the sluice somewhere intake for the water supply close to sluice, it will be damaged. So actually he was insisting not to take from the sluice some he only after inspection and determination he instructed some place, but the donors came and with some political intervention they were want to insisting to get the close to source. So he I think we can remember, uh, even we know very well, even if you read the Kantale Dam Disaster Commission report, you will find out that former director was insisted not to construct the what to call this intake close to the sluice. But it was this drone agencies or other people, they were not understand what is telling. So then during his absence, he was in the away from the country for some other work. Then at that time, then the second in command was given the I think authority such a way, and then the particular old letter was missing from the file. Finally, dam was disaster collapse mainly because of the when you do the file driving, it was disturbed the bonding and it was damaged. So this is the unethical behavior of the decision makers. So at that time the politicians and the highest authority of the country was insisting that because they were thinking that that donor is maybe withdraw the what to call this funding, may be the reason, but ultimately it is a big disaster. And then even the recent past that we heard about the Polonnaruwa walking track and all those things, actually it was the not the ethical engineering ethics, because even engineers as engineers, I think what my belief is that we must explain to all the people what is happening. So there are engineering, so those who are work in department in 1978 during the cyclone, they were they wrote to the papers and have the broadcast in the interviews. They said that what is happened. So therefore, these ethics has to be respected. In Sri Lanka, in the meantime, the Haiti Regency Hotel walkway collapse and Union Carbide accident on Bhopal are most suitable example, because these things are mainly because of the we are not following the engineering ethics. That regarding the Haiti Regency workway collapse, I think you can read from the internet and other what to call this document. The Haiti was built during the nationwide pattern of fast-track large construction which reduced oversight and major failure. Its roof had partially collapsed during the construction, and the ill-conceived skywalk design progressively degraded due to the miscommunication loop of corporate neglect and irresponsibility. An investigation concluded that it would have failed even under one-third of the weight it held that night. Convicted of gross negligence, misconduct, and unprofessional conduct, the engineering company lost its national affiliation and all engineering license in 4 states, but was acquitted of criminal charges. Company owner and engineer of record Jack G. Grimson eventually claimed full responsibility for the collapse and its obvious but unchecked design flaws, and became an engineering disaster lecture. The disaster contributed many lessons and conformed to engineering, ethics and safety, and to emergency management. It was the deadliest structural failure since the collapse of the Pemberton mill over 120 years earlier. The remained the second deadliest structural collapse in the United States until the collapse of the World Trade Center towers 20 years later. So like that, engineering ethics are, you can understand how it is important. In the meantime, Bhopal disaster also, this is the estimated very on death of toll. Or, the official immediately death toll was 2000, 2059, 2259. In 2008, the government Madhya Pradesh had paid compensation to the family members of 3,787 victims killed in the gas release and 574 injured victims. A government affidavit in 2006 stated that the leak caused 558,125 injuries, including 30,417 temporary partial injuries and approximately 3,900 severely and permanently disabled injuries. Others estimated that 8,000 died within 2 weeks. Like that, big disaster. The owner of the factory, UCIL, was majority owned by the UCC with Indian government, controlled the banks and Indian public holdings, 49% of stake. So you can read the internet, and civil and criminal cases filed the United States against the UCC and Western Anderson. UCC CEO at this time disaster were dismissed and redirected to Indian court. So multiple occasions between 86 to 2012. As were dismissed and redirected to India courts, right? Like that, it is actually finally this disaster was mainly by the negligence and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment and fine about 2,000 sterling pounds per each. Like that, maximum punishment was given to those who are involved with that design and other things. So therefore, actually, this engineering disaster is a professional neglect. So I think we can remember during our young days, our former senior engineers told that when the engineer made the mistake, it is that is the what you call the monument, right? So if the construction of building has made the mistake, it's a monument. But if the doctor made the mistake, it is the death, right? Like that, they were explained. That is the difference between our two professions. Therefore, so I think all the engineers, as engineers, we must understand this engineering ethics and other. So therefore, young graduate should practice starting from their beginning period to behave ethically and make ethical decisions in their professional practice. So that's what I think most of the young engineers, they know that when they are in the university also, they are studying engineering ethics, IESL. Ethics they were taught in the university also before become the graduate. So that is the facts behind that is to train the young engineers. Engineering knowledge is not sufficient to improve the welfare of the society by their engineering works. So engineering work only not improve the welfare of the society. Therefore, engineers should incorporate those ethical concepts into their lives. So therefore, it is part and parcel of the ethics in the engineering life. So as an engineer, good engineer or bad engineer, so average engineer should have the incorporate the ethical concept to their lives. Our day-to-day life, is joined with the ethical concepts, and then we have to practice our engineering profession. Engineers should have developed their skill to identify and resolve moral problems associated with their professional works. So, when the moral of the professional is associated with that, so we have to develop our skill identifying and resolving moral problems associated with the professional works. I think most of you are understanding that is moral work. So when you work in the road sector, or once you complete the road sector, you have to think about the aspiration of people and how you deal with the general public when you are in the construction. Those things has to be considered. So then IESL Code of Ethics, it is actually introduced for the very beginning of the IESL, and later it was gradually in certain period it is what to call this revising to fit the according to the world code of ethics of engineers. So recent research, so this IESL already introduced the 9 code of ethics, then later it became to the 8 and 2013 somewhere it is 7 code of ethics, like that it was gradually changing. So according to importance of the ethics is changing. So therefore that IESL code of ethics is the most appropriate and suitable one for the engineers of Sri Lanka, because as a engineers of the accredited by accreditation with the getting the international membership of the what you call Washington Accord. So I know that all the other countries also their code of ethics are similar to the IESL. Therefore, everything is included. Therefore, actually IESL code of ethics is the most important one for young engineers. So you have to keep in mind. The reason actually it is not published, but I got the information from the one of the university lecturer. That research paper revealed that out of 8 ethical clauses, around 50% of the senior engineers are violating the clause number 1. Right? What is the clause number 1? It is engineers shall hold paramount health, safety and welfare of the public and proper utilization of funds and other resources. It is quite to understand as engineers whether we are violating this clause number 1. So this is actually one finding. The second one is about 30% of the engineers not continue their professional development and shall actively assist and encourage engineers under the direction to advance their knowledge and experience. So it is revealed that about 30% of engineers in the field, they are not continuing their professional development. That means then it is the mandate requirement to develop our professional development by following the courses, attending the seminars, even following the masters and PhDs, and participate in the various diploma courses and to gather knowledge. Therefore, is one way. In other way, we have to encourage the other engineers, our next generation, for their direction to advance their knowledge, because engineering day by day it is very fastly changing. So therefore, we have to improve our knowledge as well as our practices. Therefore, we have to we have given opportunity for the young engineers to get the respect to training, and then they also come forward. Therefore, they will replace our gap. When we are getting older, they replacing our gap. Therefore, it is a duty of the engineers to train the So sometimes not insisting to contractors. This is some something I am trying to highlight ethical violations. Sometimes not insisting contractors or subordinate to implement a safety procedure. So that now when you are doing the contracts as well as when construction, so all that is what you call instruction are supposed to give in this safety procedure. So sometimes when we are inspecting the sites, sometimes seniors are noticed that there is no safety procedure correctly followed then, but we are not insisting, we are just keep quiet and come and to the office and then write in letter, not that so we have to tell our site engineers, so where is the your safety measures and everything we must ask. So now these days when you are doing the contract, not only safety measures, there are environment issues has to be considered. Therefore, most of the new contract there is a employment for the environment officer also. An environment officer is always has to vigilant and find the what is happening. And in this safety engineers also they are in the heights. So therefore, we have to insist that contractors our and our subordinates also to implement safety procedure. The public inconvenience due to non-environmental protection. So as I mentioned that it is the most important because of the when we are doing the road construction, the cement dust is going to the houses as well as the other places, even religious places. Therefore, we have to look into that matter because of their public health and everything we have to look into that, and then we have to get the precautions. Even the dust road when the road is constructed, dust is always coming, so we have to control the dust. So with the wind it is going and deposit in the roofs of the houses, and it is inconvenience for the small children. So therefore we have to look into those things in non-environment protection. Then less supervision on engineers, leave the site before work is completed. So for example then this most of the time, so when the concreting are ongoing, but see engineers are just leaving the site, given the authority to the is their subordinate, maybe engineering assistant, maybe sometimes work supervisor. If they left after engineers are leaving, sometimes only it is a matter of the contractor and his labor. Therefore, the less supervision of engineers leave the site before the work is completed. It is actually one. It is not a good ethical conduct. Therefore, when the good concrete is moving, you have to be there. So we have come across the lot of experience about those things, because when the important concreting is going, engineers should be there, because we have to set randomly the quality control test, and some other problems also may be caused because loom collapse in the shuttering and all those things can be happen, any incident. So therefore engineers should be there. Then some engineers used to cite laborers and mechanics for their private works. So this is why the other important thing, the engineers are not thinking about this. We are working for the public as well as then we as engineers they are using the site laborers and materials and mechanics for their private works. So I think recent past, I think you may heard about the Peradeniya University, that Bursa as well as the uh, engineer engineer and their few staff were expelled from their job, mainly because of that engineer was deployed some their laborers and machineries to construction of the Bursa's house. So therefore after inquiry what it was found that, and after inquiry it was what to call this both are expelled. Seven නිරපල දැම්මා I think engineer as well as work supervisor and the Bursa. So it was in the in the papers. In the meantime, though I know that some engineers, those who left the country, very good engineers, they said that because of that they can't work in Sri Lanka. Mainly because of one engineer, young engineer, he was actually set for the B paper also got through, and he was working in the government institution, and then this his in charge was taking the laborers from his site to his homework, construction of the building, his house or something. Then he was marked the absence for all the laborers, those who are not in the site. Then end of the month he was having the big argument and some quarrel with the senior engineer. Yeah, so therefore he said, no, I am not trying to mark the presence for those who are absent. Therefore he left the institution, and finally he said that it is very difficult to work like that. Therefore he went to the Australia or something, some country, mainly because of that problem. So those things are happening here and there. So even the sometimes the town council people, that they are taking the sanitary laborers for their, what to call this, unloading the, what to call this, ceramic tiles and other things. So they finally, once they come out, they are telling that we went to that such place to unload the material, like that. So we as a senior engineers or any engineer should not use their institution laborers and machineries for their private work. It is not ethical. Then some senior engineers are not extend their support to advance their knowledge and experience, but finding the shortfalls of young engineers. Now you know this, when you come to the uh, site, the young engineers are like our children, because we are also aging now. So then young engineers they are very eager to learn. So therefore, sometimes when we are working, they are doing the small designs and normal designs they are doing, and coming with good ideas and good proposal, because their knowledge is actually better than sometimes better than us, because they have the new technologies there. So computer programs, and we are experienced. So they are sometimes when we doing this, and they are coming with the new proposals. So as an engineer, we must listen to them. We said, no, no, I don't have time to listen to you. You just do as I want. I told you, some sort of things are not practiced in the office, because especially when we doing the water management in irrigation sector, I know young engineers, they have developed the water management schedules by the computer supported, and they are doing a very good job. So then we have to encourage and use their knowledge and ability to maintain the sustainability of the project. Therefore, most of the senior engineers has to think and has to act thinking that ethically supporting, as well as to give their knowledge and give the most support, as well as our children. So then, like a children, our own children, we can teach them, and then good or bad. So then they will be developed by their knowledge, experience, everything to fit to the modern society. So that is the thing. So other thing is now. This regarding now you know that when you become the corporate engineer, chartered engineer, you will entitle most of the benefits. No, one is you will get the salary increment, and you will be respected in the society as a professional engineer, chartered engineer, as well as you will get some other scholarships and like that, government sector and private sector also. The private sector, then what to call this, chartered engineers, very good place, because they are running short of chartered engineers. So therefore they are trying to keep them in the company. So then earlier, I think during our days, I think I can remember, our director of irrigation, he's used to ask from us when we meet in the veranda or sometimes in the seminar, are you set for the charter, and how whether you have completed the design, like that, lot of questions. Even that before the signing our designs, our seniors having the interview with them, asking a lot of questions about designs and improving our designs. And our even those days our English sometimes English was not much improved, but they were correct in our English also, like that. So we have to, as a engineers in the seniors, so it is our duty to help to young engineers advance their knowledge and experience, right? We should not find in fault If they are still making mistakes, we have to find the fault, but not some people are not always finding the fault, but not shortfalls of the young engineers, but not encouraging them to go advance their knowledge. So in some places, assign the mechanical works or civil engineering to civil engineer with extra payment while young MEs are available in the house. So this is a common scenario. Then now most of the places now is this mechanical works and electrical works are entrusted to the civil engineers of there, because that mechanical and civil engineers, electrical engineers may be junior junior engineers, but they wish to work with the electrical discipline. Other thing is now they like to get the responsibility. So then if the civil engineer is in charge of that, then sometimes then the mechanical engineer come and speak to you about explain you will not understand what is actually he is telling in the electrical engineer. So therefore actually it is a duty not to do the, as a ethics says, no, except the your discipline. So I think recent past I can remember in a government institution there is a post for director of mechanical engineer, right? So mechanical section director, but at that time it was appointed by, looked after by the civil engineer. Then when they call the application, there is a good what call eligible person. He's applied and then she selected. So so then authorities are not willing to hand over the works to the particular selected person. Maybe he is qualified, fully qualified. So reluctant. So those things has to is not encouraged, because we can't practice the except our what to call this what to call this our discipline, except our discipline. So sometimes that once you give the become chartered engineers, IESL is issuing the what to call seal that certifying that you are the member of the IESL corporate member. Then it seals not contain the what to call the whether your discipline civil, mechanical, electrical. But sometimes some people are misusing that, because they you know this regarding the what to call this solar panel installation, the vendor want to some sort of certification for the chartered engineer, so they are not not familiar with our discipline. So they think if the chartered engineer sign, he can get the payment, so or he can get the what to call submit the for the approval. So sometimes these civil engineers are signing for that. So it is not nice, because some authorities are rejecting. Now it is changed because the building service engineer must certify that when you install the solar panel in your house. Therefore, you must not practice the other discipline. Right, so it is a mandatory. It is in the clause number 8 was described. I think you all are familiar with all the clauses. Though therefore, I am not going to give the clause by clause, because already Engineer Russell Silla was described everything. So that is the most important. So like that in practice, it should be do it according to the what to call our IESL ethics 1 to 8. In some places, young engineers have alternative novel proposals, as I mentioned earlier, for burning issues, but not give time to even listen to him and press the implement his or subordinate proposal. So sometimes this when the problems comes, young engineers come with the very nice proposals. So sometimes you are not willing to hear them or allow them to do what they are with that proposal. So therefore, sometimes you say no. As I told you, you do it that. So such things must be avoided, because you must listen to young engineers and then discuss their solutions, and then find out the goods and bads of the respective proposal. As we will give very best alternate proposal, we must find out for implementation. So we are coming across such a experience when we work in the government sector. So therefore it is the most important. So other thing is what I want to highlight is the signing and sealing of engineering design notes and the drawings without checking in all fundamental issues related to practice of engineering. You know that the government, town council as well as even Pradesh Sabha, that all the when you construct the house, you have to sign it should be signed by the chartered engineer. Earlier it is not there, right? Is a graph, somebody is signing, even accepted. But now IESL actually we introduced the system that chartered engineer must be signed and he has to some sort of authority. The normal civil engineer can design the buildings up to 3 stories. But if it is more than 3 stories, so structural, he should have the structural membership of the structural society with the MSc of structural engineering. So sometimes it's what you call even the some people, some engineers are thinking that this underground floor is not count as for the 3 story building. It is almost 4. So I think it is wrong practice, and even court cases also there, UDA and other neighbors are going to courts regarding that. So then what to call this, even when I was the president of the IESL, I can remember this courts are asking the expert evidence from us who is responsible to design the underground floor with the underground floor 3 story building like that. So therefore even now we also some cases are there. Therefore actually what I am to stress is now we should not as a chartered engineer or engineer sign the design, which except the chartered engineer is the only eligible to sign those drawings. So sometimes we have some draftsman, somebody is preparing everything, right? They are copying from various places, and so then come to get the signature. So you should not sign unless you are thoroughly going through all the design notes and drawings, and if you are fully what to call this fully confidence about that, you can sign. But otherwise normally you have to do that, because if the problem comes, it will go to the courts, then courts will ask a lot of things, then you are unable to answer also. So therefore you have to be very careful, and then what I am telling is not to put your seal and signature for the designs, notes or drawings unless you are not undertaking that responsibility. The signature and seal on set of engineering design, notes and drawings is an indication that the signing and sealing engineer is taking personal and professional responsibility for the content of the works. Very clear, right? It was found that unethical for engineers to seal engineering document not prepared by him. So as I mentioned that you have to be very careful. It is not the engineering ethics. So other countries, so United States, even Australia, Singapore, they are very seriously practicing that. Nobody cannot do that because it is a criminal charge. If something is collapsed, it is a criminal charge. You will go to the jail, definitely. Therefore, as an engineer, if you are confident about your designs, if somebody want to your signature, you do it your design, and then don't sign somebody is prepared, because you can get the support of your sub staff, no, if you have a company. So like that, always with the confidence we have signed everything as I mentioned last this thing. It is found that unethical for engineers to seal engineering document not prepared by him. So as a conclusion, what I want said is uh, engineers shall hold paramount health, safety, welfare of the public and proper utilization of funds and other resources, and engineers shall continue their professional development and shall actively assist and encourage engineers under their directions to advance their knowledge and experience are two clauses of the Code of Ethics of IESL predominantly violated by the senior engineers and the other responsible engineers. This is actually what I got is one of my the researcher, he discussed with me and he told me those things. The first these two what to call it, what clauses are normally violating by the engineers, senior engineers and other responsible agencies. It is two things. One thing, engineers shall hold paramount. This is clause number 1, and the other one, engineer will continue the professional development shall activate this clause number 2. So I actually before because since you are going to sit for the B paper, you have to by heart you have to find understand what is the clause 1, clause 2, clause 3 like that, and their sub clauses, because of I think very illustrative notes was given by the engineer ourselves. Therefore you always try to include the examples, right? With that if you are can read with the internet, or there is a book also, professional ethics of engineers, like the books are there in our library also. You just, when you are even after sitting for the B paper, you can come and read it, then it is very good for you to enhance your knowledge. Then other thing is the unethical acts of senior engineers may be adopted by the young engineers. That's what we are always telling. We should not give the set example for the young engineers to maybe do the bad things. So unethical acts, they are following us. That's what I told you. Most of the young engineers are like our children, because once we are make the mistake, they are also doing the mistake. Then further research can investigate deeply about these issues. So this running issues, we can, that engineer, particular researcher, he said he is trying to investigate everything deeply about this, because he is actually lecturer, and they are teaching the interdisciplinary subject to the young engineers, graduate, undergraduate engineers. Therefore, he is interesting about these things. So that's what. In the meantime, I want to tell you, during the annual induction ceremony of the new corporate members of IESL, give the oath reading the IESL Code of Ethics, and that is to practice during his career. So, like doctors, this oath is given. So then you assign the papers also. Then you have to practice during his career. That is. Thank you very much.